This is Matt with Bob Johnson's Computer Stuff. This is a CF-20 camera replacement. Start off by shutting your computer down, removing it from the keyboard base if you've not done so already. And you'll need to sit it down on its screen. So I usually throw down a rag so it doesn't scratch the screen. Remove the back cover. Remove the battery. And then there's a cover plate that covers most of the components. Go ahead and remove that cover plate. There's a number of screws holding it down. Just unscrew those screws and the cover plates should come right up. Once the cover plate's off, set it to the side. And then go ahead and disconnect the internal battery and lift it up and set it to the side. You'll need to take the base off. So you'll need to take all the outer rubber covers and port covers off. So just go ahead and start removing the screws holding the port covers and rubber covers on around the outer edge. Be careful not to lose your screws. I recommend sitting them, either laying them out and labeled with what they are, or sitting them in a container to keep all the screws together. Once the screws are out, the side covers should come off. You just gotta wiggle them around a little bit. Just be careful not to break them. The two sides come off first, and then the top and bottom can come off. Once you have both sides off, go ahead and get the bottom off. Then go ahead and get the top off. Then you can go ahead and start removing the screws to take off the bottom of the upper base cover. Once the screws are out, you should be able to lift the cover plate off. From there, you'll need to get the antenna covers, the antenna wires out of the way. You may need to pull the antenna wires out of the way. You'll also need to unscrew the rear camera. Unplug the ribbon cable for it. Sometimes the antenna wires are over it, so you may need to remove them. So get your replacement camera, rear camera, put it in place, plug in the ribbon cable. Screw the camera back down. Put the cover plate back on. And screw it back in place. Once you have the upper base cover in place, you can go ahead and put the bottom cover on that goes over top the docking connector and has the buttons on the front. Make sure you test all the buttons to make sure they're clicking before you screw it in place. If it's not sitting in just the right position, the buttons won't click right. So make sure you definitely check them before you screw it in place. And then after you screw it in place, just give it one more test on the buttons before you move on to the next piece. Go ahead and put your top cover back on. Then you can go ahead and put the spring mechanisms back in for the base where it helps it spring back out. You need to make sure those are in place before you put the side covers back on. On the side that the stylus goes, there's a small metal plate that goes between the rubber side cover and the base. So make sure you slide that in place. It goes right in the center. And go ahead and screw it down. Then go ahead and put the other side cover back on. Make sure you put the port covers on the other side as well. The door itself goes on and then the bracket goes on over top of it, and then you can go ahead and screw everything back in place there. can go ahead and put the corner cover guards back on. Just little rubber bumpers that help it lock in place when it's in the keyboard base. You can go ahead and plug back in the internal battery. And then put the rear cover plate back on. Once you have the cover plate back in, go ahead and screw it down. Once you have the rest of those screws back in, you can go ahead and put the battery back in and the cover plate back in. Plug it back into your keyboard base if you have one, and then you're all done with the repair. If you have any questions, any comments or suggestions, just let us know. You can give us a call at our toll-free number.